We're back for another race weekend in the BLMRA, trying to see if we can make our way forward inside Group 3. This weekend was some of the toughest racing we've had in ages, with terrible track conditions and insane dust. But let's see what we can do. Morning, we are at Westwoods Fair. We've just set out the track. It's going to be an exciting day of racing. Last time I just missed out on third on a trophy, only by 6 or 8 points to Algradas. So this week, that is our focus. Try and get a third. So we've got Sean and Stu who are very fast. I'll be surprised if I can beat them. But then the rest, let's see. It's going to be an exciting weekend of racing. Stick around. I haven't done much to the mower this weekend. Just check it over, check the belt. I've gone up 1 gear because the world champs were down a really low gear. And then I've rebuilt the clutch and I'm hoping everything's okay, so let's see. And one more thing, if you watched the last video, you see my main Insta360 X3 broke. So my usual setup is not going to work today, so we've got my backup 1R on there. And then the chin cam you're going to see is the Ace 2 Pro, and that should also do all the audio, which is really nice. So a bit different this week, we'll see how it goes. So with the mower set up and also warming up, getting the T-drive and the engine all warm, it was time to get all scrutineered. Every single mower gets checked over before you're allowed to race it by the scrutineering team. And then it was time for practice. So we're heading out onto a very green track, very slippery, very fresh, just been laid out. Everyone always chips in to help us figure out a track layout, see what's going to work around here. This was going to be a really technical, tricky corner this weekend, and sort of a long snaking section with some really tight corners. Already in practice, it was starting to get a little bit dusty. It was very dry, very hot weekend. So because of the hill and the tight corners, I'm actually going to go down a gear again, despite changing it earlier. So you can always try and look forward and see which gear is going to be best, but you're always going to get it wrong. This track was so technical, quite honestly, quite a steep hill. So this is me just pulling out those scrub screws on the gear, get that swapped over. You've obviously got to release the belt tension to do that and then do the belt tension back up. You can't see a lot of this, but this is, me getting the whole thing changed over. You do this quite a lot on a race meeting, often having to change this over as the track gets faster. So because these engines are naturally aspirated, they create the most power right up the top of the rev range. So the higher you can be in the revs, the better, but obviously you don't want to top out on the straights, but this track has very, very short straights, so it makes sense to make the compromise to be much lower in the gearing, higher in the revs, to have more power out of some of these really tight corners here. And we're going to jump straight into the first race. So on the grid here, back to stub the clutch, off we go, heading down into this front section. We actually started on pole this weekend. I'm not really sure why, but we did, so we'll take that. Heading up the hill, so bumpy up this section. You don't actually need to brake there because it's so on-camber, you can just lift off and let the engine braking do it. Then through this really technical off-camber corner, trying to get that switch back before you hit those bollards, which lots of people did this weekend. Then around this really tight off-camber corner, then another really tight off-camber corner. Just trying to get the mower rotated was really tough through some of these sections. Then again, on the brakes, getting it rotated hard on the throttle down the back straight. And then there was this really fast right-hander. You just had to tip it in slightly and hang on for dear life as you go up the hill here. But still leading this race. There is a joker lap, so let's see where we come out. I am going to choose to take my joker lap at the earliest opportunity we could. They actually started letting us take the joker lap on the first lap, but at this stage, you're only allowed to take it on the second. So I did that, so I still have track position, still leading this race. And as we come through this corner for the next time, looking over at the joker exit, we're still in the lead here. So just trying to put in the best lap times we can. Now we have Hayden in front of us. Again, another new racer. It was only his first meeting last time. So we're just going to try and find our way round here. And we're going to try round the outside there. Now just trying to keep our lap time up. Let's look over at the joker exit. Is anyone going to come through? Yeah, it looks like they are. And Sean is just about going to take that on momentum. You come so hot through that joker lap, he managed to grab that. So we're now in second place. Sean is so fast in Group 3. If you see my videos, you'll see just how quick he is. And my goal this weekend was to try and be as close as I could to him. And actually, it looks like I've taken my eye off the ball here, because Sean and Cleggy are taking lead here, and we've got Hayden in front of me just trying to go round. And I think, I was so confused there. I think I got beaten by all three of those guys. After thinking I was leading it, the joker lap can be very misleading. What a mate. How did you do that? So as is fairly common, this race meeting is at a show, so you can see all the way over the other side there's loads of like carving going on, there's tractors, there's steam engines, there's all sorts. So pretty cool to be a part of this. And then the crowd line, they're all like watching the racing, commentary going on. Pretty cool. And so, just lining up for another race, and this time straight into the championship race. So this race doesn't count towards this weekend, it counts towards the year. They're going to be much longer races, so trying to do what I can to hang on to Stu and Sean here. That's always a great result if I can be close to them here. So coming through this top corner, they're both leading, they both get much better exits here, but it's about to get a little bit crazy coming through this top corner. Sean hits Stu, they both stall. I'm having to restart my engine because I hit Sean as well. Then I managed to get a good exit and come out in front of Sean. We all had to restart our engines there. Stu later told me he got a puncture, so he blew his tyre here. That's why he's pulled off, and he didn't know this was a championship race, and so because he thought it was a heat race, he pulled off and was, you know, settling for the third. I think had he known it was going to be a championship race, he would have gone and got the tyre change and see what he could do. But anyway, we're still leading this, and again we've got Sean behind us who's going to be doing everything he can to get past. So cutting through this race, it was a really long one, 12 minutes plus 3 laps on the mower. Feels like forever. Sean is trying around the outside here, but this high ground really is the inside through that top corner. He's switching back, seeing what we can do. I've got to get it parked and get it really neatly out of that really technical section. Sean's going to try all the way around the outside, and he does just force me to brake a little bit too late to defend. A smart move there. High fell, hook, line and sinker for Sean's strategy there. I'm sure he knew exactly what he was trying to do there, make me outbrake myself on the inside, and that's exactly what I did. And he's going to disappear off into the distance. And so with Stu pulled off and me just settling in behind Sean, that was the rest of this race. I'm not going to show you all of it, but a solid result there. P2, we take those, especially in the championship. They did say. Oh, that was a very long, pointless race. It started third, got a really bad start, and then Sean hit Stu. All the other way around, Stu got a puncture. So I was running around a second, so you probably saw none of that. Oh, long, bumpy. Got oil coming out everywhere, look at that. So yes, I think this engine is starting to look a little bit tired after 2.5 seasons of racing. The breather. It must be the piston rings are going slightly, so it's blowing out a lot of oil, but I topped it up. We're going to put it back to work again. Lining up on the grid here. Thumbs up. I'm always really worried here because my clutch loves to burn out on the start line, and then I get a really, really bad start. So I'm always eager to get on. You can see there, thumbs up. Here is me getting waiting forever. And then that's why I ended up creeping up off the line because the clutch bound up. But anyway, we're into this race. Stu absolutely rockets off the start there. We got Sean on the outside. What can we do? He manages to send it in sideways across all that dust, managing to get round. We're still up the inside slightly. Can we grab back this position? He does just lose the rear on the exit. It did look like I hit him really hard there. That wasn't the case. It was him drifting wide on that dust. Anyway, still in second, following Stu through this section. What can we do to try and get a good exit? It really is those exits he's pulling away from me at the moment. I'm wondering whether that's something I'm doing, whether it's the gearing, or whether it is just that my engine is quite tired. I've started noticing that become a factor, particularly on the longer, faster circuits. But anyway, tipping it in through that really, really bumpy uphill section. Stu taking that really wide line, and I do get tipped up on 2 wheels there. So we are going to take the Joker lap just to try and get out the dust, see what lap time we can do. I think one other rider has done that. Next lap, Sean comes through, which we do expect at this stage. Stu still hasn't taken his Joker lap, so can we come out in front here? And as we come through to take the checkered flag, I was really confused what had gone on. I did manage to get Stu in all of that by taking that Joker lap, so finishing in second.
I like your mower.
Then, at lunchtime,
It's a proper mower, not a...
Matt offered me a go on his wheel horse because we're building ours for the 12-hour next year and also some endurance races, which you're going to see later on this year on this channel. I wanted to have a go on Matt's. Carl Selby built this one, so we know it's a good mower. And Matt races it to great effect. So I just wanted to see what it was like, especially on this really bumpy circuit. It was definitely a comfort upgrade compared to the lawn bag I was on. Coming through this section, it does still tip up. You still have to be quite careful through these technical corners, but it's definitely more stable. You can definitely carry more speed through the faster stuff. Having said that, I did get a little bit overconfident here. Tip it in way too fast. It tips up on 2 wheels. Nearly come off there. Anyway, time to return that back to Matt.
I nearly came off.
Yeah, I saw that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely down a gear.
Yeah.
And then,
Cheers, Kenny.
in the interest of science, I had to try Kenny's as well. He won this weekend. Very, very quick rider, quick mower. So I wanted to see what this was like. This is a Murray wide body, much more wide and stable. But also Kenny's got this setup quite aggressive. You can see there, very, very twitchy. Steering's quite fast, the mower's very reactive. I think that's also a balance thing. They've managed to get the balance pivoting around the centre of the mower, get the weight very even front to rear, and so that it just rotates so quick. You turn it in here, it just pivots so nicely, goes exactly where you want it. I did have to get used to how pointy it was, which I didn't quite get used to here. Also, you're switching to a hand throttle here. Coming through this corner, going in a little bit narrow. And Kenny does pick us up on that in a second. But anyway, coming through this section, still this section is so tricky. I just run wide and then nearly crash Kenny's mower. Now it's time to get it restarted and go and give it back. But anyway, that went well. So a bug driver.
Like this corner here, you're going in wide, sorry, in narrow, coming out wide. If you go in wide and come out narrow, you can take that full chat all the way.
Really?
Yeah. If you come out close to this white and then start turning, you just want to clip the white boll off the inside. Just clip the second white one, and you can just keep the power all the way up the hill. Yeah.
Fun though.
I was going to say, try it. Just do the opposite line.
Okay.
Like, try getting up there, going in wide, and then coming out.
If I did that on a bug, I'd roll it.
Yeah. But I can tell. I'm like watching you. I'm like, that's a bug driver driving it.
Yeah.
So you're doing a bug line.
So really interesting feedback from Kenny. I didn't even realise I was doing that kind of thing. But definitely that is a bug line. And I never would have guessed you could do this flat. And here, just tip it in, taking the right line, and you hold that throttle flat down, and it just deals with it. So again, learning to ride one of these things is going to be a case of relearning a lot of things. And so, straight up with the next race, time to get back on the bug after lunch. Had a sandwich, we're ready to go. Now launching it off the start line and just heading around Hayden there. Now we've got 36 to navigate and he runs just a little bit wide, so we've got a nose up the inside. Is it going to be enough into the top corner? But yes, we do manage to grab the position. I think it just lifted there. So now it's time to head through this really technical section again, starting to figure out the lines. You can see down the bottom there that Stu has taken the Joker lap, as he likes to do on the first lap. Makes sense to get out the way and run in some clean air. You haven't got dust in front of you. You're not being blocked by anyone. So we come through the second time, and you can see Stu is up there, and he's battling around the outside of Hayden. We go in a little bit deep, but get the mower turned. And actually, I don't think that's too bad a line out. Only one lap left to go after a few laps beforehand. And now we're just trying to find our way around Hayden here, sitting in behind Stu. And then I didn't realise, coming across the line, that Sean had taken his Joker lap. I presumed he hadn't. So we managed to grab a second place there. Solid points.
Second place.
I didn't think that was going well, and then realised it was Sean behind me and not someone else. So Stu won, I got second, Sean got third. That's all right.
So now it was time to get into a championship race. This was going to be a really long, hard battle. These races always are. So starting on pole here, because of the earlier results in the championship order, I managed to get into the lead, and this is just me hanging on to the lead for a good few laps, basically parking the mower to make sure people like Stu can't get around the outside there. This track really was a single line, so I was kind of learning throughout the day where I needed to park the mower on the apexes to make sure people couldn't get around. Here's Ollie Channel out there in the championship race. a lap down, so stayed out the way, which I was really grateful for when leading this. I had Stu and Sean all over the back of me here, and so just making sure they couldn't get by. Parking it here, you can see staying really tight on those technical apexes, so they'd have to go around the outside. And because the field was so dusty, on the outside it was like a sand pit. You couldn't get any traction, you couldn't get the mower to turn, couldn't get the mower to drive out of it. So as we come through here, I want you to notice that Leon is just pulling in the corner here, which is really good in that it gives us some nice fresh grass to use. But this was my mistake. I didn't notice that, and I didn't adjust my line. And through this section, I take my normal line, and actually that's left a mower's width up the inside for Stu to grab that position. And just from me not being observant there, that's cost me the position. I was kind of getting used to hitting the points I needed to hit, and didn't adjust them when I needed to. So Stu has definitely caught me napping there. A really good move. We're still all over the back of him. Can we find a way around? Just trying to get as close as we can so that if he makes a mistake, we can grab the position. This kind of distance at 2 mowers lengths or something like that is not enough that if they run wide, you can shove the mower up the inside. So you always want to be like 1 mower's length behind. But once Stu got in a groove, he ran away. We've still got Sean behind us. So still trying to defend as we did, not make that same mistake that I did with Stu. But Sean manages to run all the way outside, but carries enough momentum that he's able to drive through the dust and then slings it all the way around the outside. I cannot tell you how brave a move that is. Fair play to Sean, just to get the mower turned and keep the power on and drive through all of that crap on the outside of the racetrack and get around me. And at this point, you can see I was just so exhausted from defending these guys for, was it 12 minutes and 2 laps, that I was absolutely done. So I drove the rest of the race like that.
That was absolutely horrible.
This track is just a long championship race. To be really honest with you, it's not that fun today. The track is horrible. It's like 30 degrees C. It's dusty. It's horrible.
Anyway, enough whinging from me. I do want to be honest with you guys, but yeah, sometimes I can get a bit grumpy in these. But anyway, had a couple of things loose on the front end, so I just wanted to check it over and run some WD-40 and flush out those rose joints so they don't get ground up with all that dust. I was ready to go again, but then...
So, because it's so dusty and it's so hot, everyone's really struggling. They've cancelled the rest of the day. It's 4:30. I've got changed, had a little shower, as much as you can in a field, and I think it's beer o'clock. It's lovely and sunny. We're all going to hang out, be a tent later, cook some burgers. I think it's going to be good. I think it's the right call. But results today were pretty good. I think I'm currently beating Sean by like a couple of points. Beating Stu, sorry. So I think I'm currently beating Stu by a couple of points. Sean's leading, and then on from there. So we'll see if we can keep it up tomorrow. The mower's feeling good. It's just so technical and bumpy and dusty and horrible. So yeah, this is the plan. Burger, 2 salads, not bad. So dinner had, and now we're gonna head to the beer tent on the mowers again. Of course you have to. That's how this works. Morning. It was a good evening last night. Really good at the beer tent. Mower is prepped. I've just been checking things over while I have my coffee. It's going to be driver's briefing in a second. Hopefully get some better racing today. We're going to run the other way, so hopefully there's not such a fast bit over such a bumpy bit, so that might be less pain. But here's hoping. Just need to try and beat Stu or Sean today a bit, which is a tall order. Right, let's see how it goes. So practice is now, we've just changed the track, tried to make it a bit better. They were talking about running it the other way, but it just seems ridiculous, people flying down here, and if it goes wrong, you're in the crowd. So they've not done that, but they've changed it slightly. So let's see how it is, see how the mower is, see if today goes any better than yesterday.
So it's time to go out for practice, and actually practice became a little bit of an issue, but you'll see that in a second. Just getting the cut-off in, getting ready to go. Now normally practice is all together, so all the classes all running at once, just using the choke to get it started for the first time on the Sunday morning. Driving over, getting ready with Ollie. In Tangwell's there as well. Devon had rocked up for the second day, so we're going to be racing him as well today. And they changed the track, so I was just chatting to Leon about how they'd done that. They were discussing which way to go with the Joker lap.
Let me go have a look.
So I went out to have a look. So we're going to come around this bottom section. Same again, but everything moved over, so we're on fresh grass, so it's not quite so dusty. And then a slightly slower hairpin right up here, carrying some speed, and then we're going to have the Joker lap going straight across there, rather than cutting through and heading around the bottom section. We're just about to go into practice, and this is where you'll see the issue.
What's it like?
Still bumpy. It's better. And there's somewhere we go through the old silt, so it'll take a little while to clear it.
And I wasn't ready for how dusty this was about to be. So once we got the green flag, it was time to go. We're following Matt on the Group 4 there. You see, even on the fresh grass, there's a lot of dust here. Because of the racing, as we go through the silt, it really plumes up. And this is the tricky thing with mower racing. As we come up the Joker lap and rejoin, it's a little scary, still adjusting the tracking places. This is the thing with mower racing, is that when it's dry, dust can become a real issue. If the wind is going the right way and blowing away from the crowd, then it's not too bad, and if there's enough wind and not too much dust, then the racers can still see, and we take it as part of the risk of going racing. But some of these where you're going through the plumes of clouds of dust, look there, the Marshall on the side of the track and Josh, and you can't really see him when you're heading up there. And I've driven cars on racetracks in the rain, and the rain means you can't see a lot, and you do get used to that. So it's not an issue in not being able to see completely perfectly into the distance, but understandably this was deemed too much.
What's it like when you're actually out there?
Horrible.
From here, I can't see someone crossing the timing limit.
No.
Still where Pete is.
No.
It doesn't look enjoyable.
It's pretty dangerous.
So we got all the racers together and moved the entire track as much as we could onto fresh
I reckon
ground.
we'll get the championship and that'll be it.
Maybe. So, no, championships first, right?
And the championship races are always the most important, and we have to get them done for the end of the year. So we're going into this in practice, just the Group 3s. We're going at different groups in practice to limit the dust, and then we're going to get straight into the championship race. So learning this track quickly is going to be so important. Coming across the top here, there's again that off-camber corner, but still a little bit faster this time. Again, running the other way now, so this braking zone is really tricky, and then hanging onto the side of the hill here, getting the mower stopped on this fresh grass, which was really tricky under braking, through one hairpin, through the other hairpin, back out onto the straight. And then this left-hander up the hill was really technical.
That track is way less dusty, but it's still very bumpy. But hopefully we'll still get some racing in. Look at that dust. I mean, earlier it was just too unsafe. We couldn't race, you couldn't see anything. But even with a few guys out there, that's a bit better now.
So we're going to go straight into this championship race. Now, on the warm-up, I noticed a funny noise from my mower. But anyway, into the start of this race, we have to race anyway. Got Stu on the outside, managed to defend there, following Devon through this top section. Through that really fast corner, getting the mower a little bit rearwards. I have a look up the outside, but that's not going to work. It is very one line here. Devon goes slightly through the bollards there. Now, as we come into this hairpin, he just gets slightly up on two wheels, a very, very easy mistake to make, and that lets us through. So we're in the lead of this championship race. And you see me looking down here, and that was because I've got a really funny, like, rotational noise, like a squeaky rotational noise on the mower. I didn't know, is it a stone in one of the wheels? Is it a stone above the engine pulley? Is it something in the clutch? You can hear me say, like, what is that noise? And it was sort of coming and going as I was going. It's like, do I pull over? Am I going to have a big failure here and that's going to put me out the rest of the weekend? do I just carry on? But I was leading a championship race. I have to just get my head down and see what we can do here. Good few laps. Noise is still happening. Nothing's getting worse though. Stu tries around the outside, and I know just from racing Devon earlier on in the race, if you defend the inside, it's very, very hard to get all the way around the outside there on that very off-camber, dusty corner. So we're defending that. Again, starting to learn where to park the mower. Through this left-hander, this was so bumpy and technical, and to be careful, I had to just be careful, like taking that inside line. If I was racing on my own with no one around me, I would probably take like one mower's width wider and carry more momentum, but I can't afford to leave a space up the inside, so I have to just take it a little bit slower. Sean does try around the outside back there. What's he going to try this time? Again, he's noticed that's where I was weak, and he manages to hang it all the way around the outside. I thought there's no way he was going to manage that, and that leaves him up the inside for this fast right, so I have to let him back through. We're going to try around the outside. What can we do on the brakes here? I was trying to pressure him into making a mistake and going too deep, but that wasn't going to happen. So Sean is through. We've still got Stu all over the back of us. Sean leading this British Championship currently. Stu trying all the way around the outside again. He manages to outbrake me into the corner, but that inside line is the high line. He's up the inside now though, and he goes too deep. We managed to cut him back and grab back the position. He managed to hang around the outside where I really didn't expect him to, but that meant braking on the inside was really, really tough. So I know to defend that slightly, so you can see me covering the middle of the road there. I don't want to go too defensive and give him an option around the outside, and then that will become the inside for the next hairpin. You can hear now. The mower is sounding dreadful, and the camera underdoes it actually. I think the noise cancelling is kind of taking over here on the Insta360. Stu trying around the outside, I know to defend that, but the entire field could hear it. The rest of the show could hear this noise. It was such a horrible noise. I don't know, Stu would be all over the back of me knowing my mower was about to break. We've only got one more lap to go. It's been a long race. I haven't showed you all of it. Again, 12 minutes. Just defending the inside to grab the second position in the championship. We take those when we can get them. And that was a great result. But now the big question is, what on earth is that noise?
I don't know what that noise was.
Yeah, no, we're all sat here going, what's that?
I just had to carry on. Something spinning. In the clutch, I think. Because when I drop the clutch, it stopped.
It's not nice. You can hear it even in far corners.
Oh, I know. It was bad on the start, and then it sort of went away. Start it. Definitely in the clutch.
So we've identified where the noise is. Now to tear everything down and have a look at it. Has something got up in there? Has something come loose? In a second we pull this open. There is our answer.
So that screw's come out and worn that hole. It didn't go through. I Loctited them in. Oh well, at least it's not as bad as I thought it was. Cheers.
And what I was worried about was it was going to be something that was broken that I couldn't fix. But this is quite an easy swap. Change over the screws, Loctite them back in. Out we go.
There we go then, that's fixed. Got this. Had a screw come out the top of the clutch, which was then rubbing on the housing and making a horrible noise. On the mower, I thought it was a stone or something, so I didn't know, was something going to break? Should I stop? Should I pull over? On the first lap I thought, should I pull over? I'm glad I carried on. It ended up being a good race anyway. Just beat Sean. Sean came over and said it was a good fun race. Time for some more.
So we're straight back in, this time with a sprint race, so another short, sharp race. Joker lap is back in play. Heading up the hill, so dusty behind this front three. Following Devon through, and he's made a great move up the inside. Can we follow him through into this next one? Yes, we can. So got a good run. Having a look to slide straight behind that 24 mower. Now at the inside, we've got Josh Charles leading, Devon behind. Then turning into this top corner, Josh just gets slightly up on two wheels, so can we find our way around him? We're all over the back of Devon here. Can we find a move up this top corner? I know that's where Sean was having great success all day. Devon hits the apex nicely and I'm following through. So we're going to take the joker lap to not get held up behind them. Stu already has, as he likes to do, taken the joker lap on the first lap to get out of the way. So just trying to put in the best lap time we can, and it's going to be very, very close next lap. Sean and Devon both together. We leave Sean room on the inside, but just get slightly sideways on the dust, and that's going to let Devon through. I thought we had the place here. I'm right on the outside. There's a little bit of contact, and I'm running wide. 2x2, no harm done there. That's a racing incident, definitely. But just being on the outside put me vulnerable there. So now to try and make some time. I was finding some time on the brakes there. So just using that slightly wider line to gain some on the way in. It's the final lap. I didn't think there was going to be any way to come past, but Devon makes a slight mistake here, up on 2 wheels, has to back out, and we managed to just grab the position on the line. An incredibly close race. Really, really close. So now lining up for the last championship race of the weekend. This was going to be an incredible battle here in this race. Josh Charles leading into this top corner. Devon manages to sneak up the inside. Devon rocked up for the Sunday and was just on the pace immediately. Really, really good racing. These three all go in hot into that top hairpin. I managed to grab back 2 positions. We've left some space on the inside. Devon comes flying through, as does Sean, both following it through. So I've been done there. Been overtaken twice on that corner. Now we've got everyone in front of us. What can we do to claw up to the back of this pack? Having a look up the inside of Devon just slightly. There was only half a mower's width through there. So not worth it on the move. Again, pulling out slightly to try and go around the outside. Late on the brakes. That's not going to work. Josh Stiles in with his pack in front, and he just gets slightly up on 2 wheels. There we go. So we've grabbed the position there as Josh rejoins. So Sean and Stu battling out in front. Then we've got Devon and myself. Devon makes a slight mistake and we pull up to the back here. And this race became a really, really good battle. Devon defending very, very well, and me trying everything I can, throwing every move I could try at him. And looking back at this video, I should have chucked that out the inside there. I think there was space and I could have made that move, but I didn't on the day. You know, you've got to make a load of split-second decisions, and I think that one, I could have gone for that. We run slightly wide. Have we got a good run out? No, it's just so hard to get traction on the way out of that corner with dusty ground. I try and take a different line through this corner, and it actually ends up costing me time rather than gaining any time on Devon. Then here he makes a slight mistake, but I wasn't close enough. And this was kind of how this race went. Like, that top corner was the only real overtaking position, because here, look, you try as hard as I can to go around the outside, and it's just never going to work. Unless Devon makes a big mistake through these hairpins, I can't see myself getting away through. Then on the exit here, he keeps getting a really good traction on the way out, and this corner is going to be my only opportunity. Again, runs wide, so I know there's a weak spot there. I just have to try and be close enough to capitalise. Again, I don't know why I keep trying that move, but that was where the camera cut. And actually, I did manage later on in the race to get a move on Devon. This is a slight recreation here. I managed to be a little bit closer. Devon made a slight mistake like that, and I managed to get up the inside. But it was an incredible race there, and it's a shame the camera died. But anyway, last race of the weekend here. This was another sprint race. What can we do in this one? We've had 2 championships, 1 sprint. Sean gets an incredible launch all the way around the outside. But does just get caught up in that dust. He's still up the inside here. Manages to come through. Devon in the lead. And look at this move from Sean. So late on the brakes. Manages to hang it all the way around the outside. But just that dust costs him. And there I go too deep on the brakes, trying to make sure I don't hit Sean. So I rejoin back in position. What can we do from here? These two battling still, defending really, really hard. And Sean's managed to grab a position. Stu, as usual, is taking the joker lap, so we're going to slot in behind him. He's put in a good lap to grab that position on us from behind to in front. Next lap here, Devon comes round to grab the position. And again, it rolls exactly the same as last time in the championship race. I've only got 1 lap to try and find the move. Just made a mistake there. It was never going to happen. So Devon grabs 3rd. I grabbed 4th. That was it.
So, because of the dust, it was a little bit too dangerous. They actually cancelled that. I don't know where I placed, but overall it was a good weekend of racing. I felt my pace was good, even though the track was so horrible. I think all of us were chatting last night. Didn't super enjoy it. You know, it's always good to be racing, but sometimes the track is just punishing. It means you're just clinging on for dear life. So it was kind of one of those weekends. But overall, I think the pace was good. We're happy with that. Let's see where we placed.
Now, after saying that, I forgot to film my prize collection. Here's Charlie collecting his trophy. And actually, I got 2nd place in this event. I've never, ever had a 2nd, only ever a 3rd. So very, very happy with that. And the prizes were really cool this time. and it was these ratchet spanners. So thanks for watching, guys. Come back for the next one. Only a week to wait on that one. Subscribe.